This young man was stunned when he found himself reincarnated into a completely unfamiliar world. However, the first thing that Ashui did not volunteer for was having his hands tied to be used as bait to lure monsters. Before he could grasp the situation, suddenly, the two kidnappers shouted loudly, "Here it comes!" Surrounding the small boat was the silhouette of a giant sea monster. It was in a state of rolling and thrashing. Oh no, didn't I say the sea monster was only half a person tall? It's unimaginably huge. Just one struggle almost caused the boat to capsize. Tu Zhang looked panicked. All the lives are too big. Come this way. Lord Zhang spread his legs, standing in a fighting stance. Using the technique of 10 years of hard study, one inhuman fist, moving the world, practicing. The moment has finally arrived. All these years, I've been waiting for this moment. This punch has a power of 15. Can you block it? As soon as he finished speaking, the sea monster surfaced to his level, its mouth wide open, ready to devour him. A single blow shattered the fucking boat. Tu Zhang and Ashui sat precariously on the wooden beam that had not yet been completely overturned. Tu Zhang shouted, I can't die here." Just like that, he turned his head back, looked at Ashui, and stabbed the knife straight into the middle of his hand, causing Ashui to painfully let go of the boat's edge, falling into the water with fresh blood continuously flowing out. His hands were tied, so he couldn't do anything. Ashui used his teeth to try to pull the rope as hard as possible, but it still didn't budge. The smell of blood attracted the monster's attention, causing it to swim toward him. Ashui gasped, eyes half closed, "I'm really not okay." In his despair, his father's figure appeared before his eyes, along with a pleading voice. "Ashui, you fool, wake up. Now, how nice it would be if this image were real." Ashui's hand reached out, hoping to touch his father's hand, but instead, he touched the side of the boat right at the spot where the image of father and son was carved. This was his father's boat. Just as he raised his head, he hadn't even had a chance to breathe for a few seconds when he was dragged down by the monster. Accompanied by an incoherent scream, Ashui tried to hold on until the end. The water level got deeper and deeper. "I tried my best, father. I'm really sorry." In no time, Ashui was dragged to the bottom of the water by it. The moment it opened its mouth wide to take a bite, a message appeared underwater. "Marsh Spirit is activated. Water Spirit has been detected for collection. Collection successful. Water bending ability can be awakened." A few more messages appear. "Can collect Swamp Spirit Water Ape. Collecting. Collection complete. Refining successful. Body recovery in progress." Suddenly, Ashui opened his eyes and found himself still underwater. The young man was stunned. "Aren't I dead?" Dead in the water. Just now, Ashui was startled again. His body was surrounded by a magical blue light. Huh? Why does it feel like I'm walking on land in the water? It seems like the resistance has disappeared. Looking at his hands, the young man did not understand what was happening. System notification. The water control ability has been successfully acquired. You are expending stamina to control the water. What's even more shocking is that this water bending ability also allows him to breathe underwater comfortably. The wounds on his body have also healed. Right behind him, the green-eyed monster was looking at him with hungry eyes. Immediately, it opened its mouth wide. Reflexively, startled and scared, Ashui raised her hand to block. Suddenly, there was no movement. So I opened my eyes and saw that the monster was blocked by glowing blue water lines. The young man was stunned and sweating. These streams of water were created by me? Is this the system that novels often talk about? So, in our country, there are no more restrictions. I can even control it. The monster struggled, trying to escape. Ashui looked worried. The control only has a time limit. Once the time is up, it will bite again. Realize that this is not good. You try to think of a way to control it. Then the system notification appears. Blood control talisman ability successfully acquired. The effect is that through the blood of the subject, the ancient rune can be engraved. To form a contract relationship with a water beast. Ashui's face brightened again. This is it. The monster jumped up from below. He quickly used his water control technique to temporarily restrain it. After a while of struggling, it escaped again. Ashui's hand now showed many red marks. He activated his power and charged straight toward the sea monster. Ashui's eyes were wide open, thinking, so this is a battle of spiritual power? Are you about to fail? His face began to change, and there were layers like fish scales. Remembering the image of lying gasping for breath in the oxygen tube, Shui told himself, I must survive. Once again, you activate your beastly power and quickly tame me. With all his energy, he fought it to the end until he managed to get to shore. The moment he lay on the grass by the river, the young man breathed a sigh of relief. I'm alive. The silhouette of the sea monster suddenly emerged from the water, but it was no longer as ferocious. As before, Shui looked straight at it and confidently said, Of course. I finally subdued this monster. Monster information displayed. Peak Master, Shui. Refining Swamp Spirit Water Ape with a 5% fusion of Swamp Water Essence. And the Water Beast controlling Tai Hui. Consume 80 Swamp Water Essence points to evolve. Review of Swamp Spirit Water Ape, originating from the Hui Kwakai Master. Can stimulate those who are lacking. Weak and small in life, Shui ordered, Don't worry, just stay here. I'll call you later if anything happens. After capturing you, it formed a mental link and can contact you at any time. Or it can also reach out to you. The monster just returned to the water. Shui rubbed his growling stomach. I have to go home, find some food, and rest well. Luckily, I have a map of this area in my memory. Home isn't far from here. Scene changes to a certain village. Butler Zheng is walking with a few others, including Tuzhong. The civilians behind were chatting excitedly. Who are your friends? This is going to Shui's house. Is it Tuzhong and the people in Zhao Manor? Looks like Shui caused something again. Hearing the name Shui, Li Liba was startled. Oh no, Shui is in trouble. The four of them went to Shui's house. Tuzhong thought to himself, This brat. Shui has passed away. Won't I be the one to handle his estate? Just in time to make up for the consequences of this mission failing. It's all because that Zhang guy is too weak. Just like that, he kicked the door open and burst in, then smiled a fake smile. Butler Zheng invites you inside. Before I could laugh smugly, inside the house was the sight of Shui sitting comfortably, yawning. He was so shocked, he just said, That guy. Why are you still alive? Shui looked at life with half an eye and asked again, What are you doing here? The Zhao clan butler, Zheng Xiang, was annoyed. What do you mean by living or not living? Why are you always in such a hurry? Tuzhong quickly bowed to please Master Zheng. It was him. That is Shui. Zheng Xiang laughed coldly. Oh, you are Shui. I didn't expect you to still be alive. What? A great fate, Tuzhong chimed in, his tone full of sarcasm. Yes, disasters are very long-lived. Zheng Xiang did not say much, waved his hand, and ordered. Capture him. Shui was startled, stepped back, and shouted, What do you want to do? Tuzhong laughed slyly, throwing a punch straight to his stomach, causing him to bend over in pain. Why do you ask? The old master summoned the warrior Lord Zhang to subdue the water monster to protect the villagers. What about you? You dare to collude with the water monster, harm Lord Zhang, cause Zhao Manor to suffer heavy losses, and even put the villagers in danger? Shui angrily retorted, You clearly set a trap, using me as bait to lure the sea monster. Tuzhong laughed, moving closer to his face, his voice filled with resentment. You killed Lord Zhang and still dared to come back. You are so bold. Not only that, you're a monster. The two words monster rang out like a thunderclap. Suddenly, painful memories of his previous life flooded back into Shui's mind. An outcast, a child without parents, always slandered as a thief, laughed at and shunned by everyone. He clenched his fists, his eyes burning with anger. The fat man laughed and said, Oh, you single quotes raised showing the eyes of a monster again. If you have the guts, then hit me. Shui clenched his fists, breathing heavily, his eyes burned with anger. And he enunciated each word, his voice sharp as a knife. Monster, if you are a monster, then I will show you true cruelty. Without hesitation, he rushed forward and delivered a powerful punch to the fat man's face. He staggered back, blood flowing from his mouth, facing the astonished gazes of the surrounding people. Shui remained steadfast. Even if your abilities are discovered, you also absolutely must not submit. With a strong will to survive, he struggled to break free from the grip of his subordinates. But when he finally escaped, he staggered and fell. However, his eyes were still cold, burning with fighting spirit. He gritted his teeth and muttered to himself, Even if I really become a monster, like you say, I will also take a bite of your flesh. Tuzhong slammed the fan in his hand, his face angry. He shouted, You still dare to attack me? Butler Zheng, I said, take it back to Zhao Manor. Aren't we lacking people to feed that thing? I think this orphan kid seems reasonable. Zhang Xiang squinted at Shui, his expression full of contemplation. He spoke slowly, his words exuding coldness and cruelty. You have two options. One is to become Elder Zhao's adopted son. This matter can be ignored. Today, I will cut off your legs. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding villagers began whispering. Is it your turn to adopt again? I heard that there is no news of those who were sent to Zhao Manor. Lately, Zhao Manor has been receiving quite a few strange people. The chatter had not yet subsided when, suddenly, an old but resounding voice startled everyone. Let's see who dares to bully Shui here. Everyone turned around at once. A thin but majestic figure walked in with a cane. It was Li Zhang. He tapped his cane on the ground, his voice deep and powerful. I'm not dead yet. Zhang Xiang paused for a moment, his face darkened, but he still tried to suppress his anger, pointed at him, and shouted loudly, Old man doesn't know anything. You. Before he could finish his sentence, Li Zhang glared, cutting him off. What? I am a man of high position in the imperial court. You dare to attack someone in office? Humph, your elder Zhao should also give me some face. If you still don't know what's good for you, I will lie down right here and see what you dare do. Those words were like a heavy blow. Zhang Xiang was so angry that his face turned red. But he did not dare to act out. He gritted his teeth, his anger reduced to a cold snort. The old man doesn't know good from bad. I won't settle this with you today. But just wait, this isn't over yet. With that, he waved his sleeve and turned to leave. Tu Zhang did not forget to cast a vicious look towards Shui, curling his lips and smiling coldly. Just like your father, not knowing good from bad. After saying that, he quickly followed Zhao Manor's group. The tense atmosphere gradually eased. The crowd chatted for a while longer before dispersing. Li Zhang stood still, watching the retreating figures, then slowly turned to Shui. His voice was low but filled with warmth. There are things that, if you can avoid them, you should avoid for a bit. Shui bowed her head in gratitude and said, Thank you, Li Zhang. Shui will remember your words. Li Zhang nodded in satisfaction and left. The surrounding people also gradually dispersed, leaving Shui standing there alone. He bowed his head, clenching his fists. You can be saved once, but what about a lifetime? We can't keep relying on others forever. Looking up at the deep blue sky, a strong determination rose in Shui's heart. This system is my chance. As soon as that thought appeared, the system notification board immediately appeared before his eyes. Swamp water essence. Pet evolution plus 0.1 detected. Shui looked at the notice board in confusion. Swamp water essence. Shui walked out to the lakeside, the faint moonlight reflecting in his eyes, creating a mysterious beauty. He raised his hand to his forehead, as if summoning something. After taming the crocodile, you can now summon it at any time through a mental link. The gentle waves on the lake's surface began to rise, circles spreading as if a giant creature were preparing to emerge. Shui waited anxiously, her heart pounding, but when the water gradually calmed, there was only a small crocodile, no bigger than your arm. He frowned, looking at the creature before him, his voice full of doubt. Where's my big crocodile? Immediately, a line of information appeared before his eyes. A tame water beast can adjust its body size at will to control energy consumption. Evolution rate +1. Current state of the chibi crocodile has extremely low energy consumption. Shui's eyes widened in surprise. Then he couldn't help but laugh. He thought to himself, as expected of a system, even this feature is available. But he suddenly remembered something and quickly turned to ask the little crocodile. That's right, where did you find swamp water essence? Lead the way. The crocodile immediately shook its head and jumped into the water. Shui took a deep breath and dived after the crocodile. Under the clear water, the small crocodile swam flexibly, leading him into a cave filled with moss. The faint light penetrated the water's surface, creating magical, shimmering bands of color. Shui couldn't help but be amazed. This cave is truly majestic. Inside the strange plants growing everywhere, a faint light was emitted. The roots of the trees twisted like tentacles, emitting a mysterious blue light. Suddenly, the system's voice rang out in his head. Detected treasure. Containing swamp water essence. Please choose absorption method, master. Shui was stunned. Indeed, this world contains treasures that you have only heard of in legends. He muttered to himself. I heard that there is a cold pool in the backyard of Zhao Manor. Rare spiritual herbs grow at the bottom of the pool. Elder Zhao still uses it to attract martial artists everywhere. If only I could find those things. He shook his head, dismissing the thought. For now, these treasures are valuable enough. Ashui bent down and picked up a branch. His eyes filled with excitement. I wonder how much swamp water essence it can provide me. He turned to the little crocodile and smiled. You helped me a little too. The crocodile just heard the request and fell onto his back. Ashui was stunned and helpless. You are so lazy. I should call you untouchable. Reluctantly, he had no choice but to collect the treasures himself. After gathering enough, Ashui climbed ashore and carefully examined the strange plant in his hand. He didn't hesitate and immediately took a bite. The refreshing taste spread throughout the mouth, accompanied by a strange flow of energy flowing into the body. The notification panel pops up. Absorb swamp water essence. Swamp spirit water. 8 fusion level. Adds to accumulated swamp water essence points. Adds 10. Ashui took a deep breath, feeling the energy surge through his body. He kept picking up the remaining treasures and continued to absorb them. Swamp water essence +1. The announcement continued to ring out. Soon, his stomach was full. Feeling so full that he couldn't eat anymore, Ashui sat down, letting out a sigh of satisfaction. At this moment, the system panel appeared once more. Refining swamp spirit water 8 fusion degree 7.5%. Swamp water essence has no. Water beast leader. Taihui consumes 800 swamp water essence points to evolve. He looked at the notice board in surprise, his eyes skimming over the stats of the water spirit compatibility and the evolution level of the water spirit. After some thought, Ashui decided to prioritize improving his strength. Without hesitation, he reached out and pressed the add button. Immediately, a pale green energy spread throughout his body, making him feel as if a powerful tiger was rising within him. Your body gradually changes, your muscles stretch and become more flexible. Every stream of water around you seems to start responding to your commands. Your power is increasing rapidly. Now, the ability to control water has reached 45 pounds, enough to confront those who bullied him in the past. Next, I have to accumulate a few more days. Can't take in any more today, Ashui pondered. Right now, the most important thing is still the economy. Autumn is coming to an end, which means alligators will soon enter hibernation and fishing will be temporarily interrupted. Suddenly, a thud was heard beside him. He looked down and saw that a large fish had just landed right where he was. He turned around in surprise, only to see his little crocodile looking at him smugly, its tail wagging. Lightly in the water, Ashui couldn't help but laugh, hugging the little crocodile and continuously praising it. Not bad, looks promising. Your temporary economic crisis can be resolved. Just take the fish to the market and sell it. The next morning, with a full purse in his hand, he smiled in satisfaction. A big goldfish, sold for 80 pounds, not a small profit. The merchants in this world are easier to persuade than the vegetable vendors in the previous life. You realize that trading is not so difficult. The economic issues and swamp water essence are settled now, and you need to find time to settle the score with Tuzhong. Speaking of him, a voice suddenly rang out behind him. Hey, isn't this Ashui? Oh, we had a little misunderstanding a few days ago. I was just about to find you to apologize. What a coincidence. My boat is just around the corner. Let's have a nice meal and clear up any misunderstandings. Don't worry, it's just the two of us. Tuzhong smiled, but his eyes flashed with an evil glint. He thought to himself, just the two of us? Let's see where else you can run. However, Ashui is not someone who can be fooled easily. He slightly raised his lips, a hidden smile flashing in his eyes. Faced with the other party's scheming gaze, he replied in a calm yet meaningful tone. Good, just the two of us. I feel very secure. Just then, a system message appeared. 80 valve message received. Water beast untouchable. Swamp spirit water ape. Fusion 7.5%. Late at night, the pale moonlight fell over the small courtyard, causing the dim shadows to dance on the ground in the silence. Tuzhong knelt down, breathing heavily. His face was covered in wounds, and dry blood lingered at the corner of his mouth. In front of him, Zheng Xiang stood there, his cold expression as if hiding some unfathomable calculation. Zheng Xiang said emotionlessly, recently, the experiments in the palace have encountered problems. Many people lost their lives. He glanced at Tuzhong, the corner of his lips curling up into a meaningful smile. The mansion lacks medicinal materials for alchemy, and a Shui is an orphan with no relatives. Do you understand? Tuzhong lowered his head, clenched his fists, and said hoarsely, I understand, a Shui. This brat can't escape. Tomorrow, I will tie him up and bring him back. Zheng Xiang leaned down, close to his face, his eyes sinister. If you do, well, Elder Zhao will invite those adults to help you become an immortal. Tuzhong heard this, his eyes flashing with a crazy light, his whole body trembling with excitement. Really? Am I going to become a fairy? Of course. Zheng Xiang laughed coldly. Tuzhong was so agitated that he tore his shirt, revealing wounds all over his body. Among the torn skin, there were still clearly visible red characters. He looked up to the sky, his eyes bloodshot, laughing like a madman. I'm about to become a god. It's finally almost done. Ha! Scene change. On the clear, calm river surface, reflecting the dawn. Mist gently drifts across the water like a silver silk strip. A small boat drifted slowly on the blue river. On the boat was a pot of fish porridge, giving off an enticing aroma. Tuzhong gently stirred the bowl of porridge, a sly smile on his lips. A Shui, don't you see? The scenery here is so beautiful. There are no other boats today. As he spoke, he secretly dropped a red pill into a Shui's bowl of porridge, his tone feigned. Let's have a delicious meal together. Consider that all misunderstandings are cleared up. A Shui frowned, his eyes suspicious. Are you sure there are no other boats around? Tuzhong laughed and nodded in affirmation. Of course, I have examined it thoroughly. He secretly rejoiced, imagining a Shui being poisoned and writhing on the boat, but no one could hear. A wicked smile gradually spread across his heart. As long as you drink this bowl of porridge, no matter how much you scream, no one can save you. Here, however, at that moment, a Shui suddenly stood up, his cold gaze like a knife piercing straight into Tuzhong. His voice was low, carrying an unpredictable danger. That's good. Tuzhong was startled, his face pale. A Shui, you. Before he could finish his sentence, a strong stream of water suddenly shot up and swept across his face. Tuzhong's eyes widened, and he waved his hands in panic, but only felt water rushing into his nose and mouth, making him suffocate. His hands trembled as he tried to salvage the situation, but he couldn't do anything, and his breathing gradually weakened. Amidst the raging waves, a Shui's figure stood still, coldly observing. His eyes did not waver, as if he were looking at a dying prey. Night fell. The sky was pitch black. The pale moonlight shone down on the water, creating sparkling rays. Tuzhong slowly woke up, his mind dizzy, his body numb from being tied up. He looked around in panic and was startled to see a Shui sitting there, smiling gently but hiding a cold aura. Did you sleep well? A Shui's light voice sent a chill down Tuzhong's back. He trembled, stuttering. You? What do you want to do? A Shui leisurely stretched, his eyes indifferent but his tone sharp. I heard that in order to pull me into Zhao Manor, you receive quite a few benefits, huh? At least the tails of silver. Hearing this, Tuzhong's face turned pale, and he hurriedly begged, a Shui, please listen to my explanation. But he didn't pay any attention, just coldly looked away, his voice slowly taking on a mocking tone. Do you recognize this place? Tuzhong panicked, looking around. Suddenly, he felt his whole body tremble, his face turning pale. Isn't this where the incident happened that night? The water monster, right? Immediately, the water's surface churned. A giant black shadow appeared behind him. Under the dim moonlight, the sea monsters. Sharp teeth flashed, creating a creepy scene. Tuzhong's eyes widened, his mouth gaped open, his whole body stiffened, and his voice became choked. Shui Shui, weird. He chuckled, his hand reaching out to stroke the giant crocodile's chin, as if he were playing with his pet. Once a sea monster, no mistake. But now it's my pet. Didn't you once call me a monster? Tuzhong trembled, hurriedly kowtowing and begging for mercy, tears and snot streaming down his face. Monster, you really are a monster. Please spare my life, I can tell you everything. He remained calm, his cold eyes sweeping over him. His voice was light but sharp. Then can you explain why Butler Zheng wanted me to enter Zhao Manor? They've been hiring recently. What is the conspiracy? Tuzhong did not dare to hide it anymore, and replied with a trembling voice, those people are all materials for Elder Zhao to refine elixirs. He needs living souls to refine medicinal herbs and create elixirs of immortality. Those who were taken to the palace, no one walked out alive. After listening, His eyes became thoughtful and his face darkened slightly. He softly said, "So, you have also arrested quite a few innocent people?" No, I was forced. I had no other choice." But in his heart, he cursed, "Hateful. One day, Elder Zhao and his followers will definitely turn you into alchemical materials, making your life worse than death." He didn't give him time to say anything more. A sharp stone appeared in his hand, quickly slashing through Tu Zhang's neck. Fresh blood sprayed out. He looked at him with cold eyes. His voice is light as a breeze, "But you've seen too much already." Tu Zhang's eyes widened, his mouth opened wide, but he couldn't make a sound. His body trembled, then was quickly dragged into the cold water by the crocodile's claws. He sat still on the boat, his eyes glowing pale blue in the night. Deep in thought, "They dragged me into the palace to practice alchemy. If we don't handle this soon, I'll be the one to lose my life." A gentle breeze blew across the water, creating small ripples. He took a deep breath, his eyes gazing far away towards the horizon. "It seems I need to find strong support to buy time and become stronger." Under the river, the strange characters on Tu Zhang's belly emitted an eerie light and gradually sank to the bottom, disappearing without a trace. Personal panel displays, gold bag to tails, untouchable crocodile monster, water monkey fusion rate 5%. In the evening light, the deep blue sky gradually turned pink. The last rays of sunlight reflected on the water, creating an unusually peaceful scene. Suddenly, the water's surface rippled slightly. An arm suddenly grabbed the side of the boat. The stork was startled, panicked, and flapped its wings, flying up into the sky. Soon after, a Shui emerged from the water, carrying a heavy bag of fresh fish on his right shoulder, and on his left shoulder was a small green crocodile, curled up lazily. He shook the water off his face, the corners of his lips slightly raised, thinking to himself, "Having power is really convenient." 3 days have passed since you dealt with Tu Zhang. During this time, to avoid attracting attention, he always acted like a normal fisherman, going out to sea early in the morning and returning late at night to sell fish. The lotus pond that you used to frequent, you no longer dare to go near anymore. A hint of worry flashed through his eyes. This ship originally belonged to Tu Zhang. I used him to exchange for it. He couldn't help but laugh as he recalled the scene of him putting on a show in front of the villagers, pretending to cry and complain, causing everyone to angrily curse Tu Zhang back and forth. That bastard is really rude. However, Shui knew that the forces of Zhao Manor would not let this matter go easily. Tu Zhang's sudden disappearance will eventually leave behind traces that the Zhao clan cannot help but investigate. And there is only one way to protect yourself. Become a martial artist. The quickest way to enter the martial arts world is by joining a martial arts school. In Pingyang Town, where you live, there are 3 large martial arts halls, but the most prominent is still the Yang Clan Martial Hall. This name is always mentioned with rumors about the demon possessing legendary abilities, able to chop gold and cut stone with bare hands, enough to suppress an entire region. If you can join this dojo, the Zhao clan definitely won't dare to touch you, because the disappearance of any member of the dojo will cause quite a bit of trouble. However, to enter this martial arts school, you need at least 5 to 8 taels of silver, while your current assets are only 2 taels of silver. Obviously, there's only one way to make more money. While thinking about his plan, a soft cry from the little crocodile on his shoulder pulled Shui back to reality. He rubbed his chin, suddenly realizing something. Since your recent level up, your body has gradually adapted to your new power. Not only does the physical body become stronger, but mental strength is also significantly enhanced. Can you capture a few more untouchables? Standing on the boat, Shui looked into the distance. He squinted his eyes slightly, the corners of his lips curling up with interest. Let's continue fishing. Under the clear blue water, Shui moved lightly as if he had never felt so agile. The water surrounded his body, as if it were becoming a part of him. His every movement was light and smooth, agile like a fish. He glanced at the small blue crocodile swimming beside him, the corner of his lips curling into an amused smile. Untouchable. Shall we continue the contest? Recently, Shui had been training frequently with the untouchable creatures he had tamed, honing his speed and body control. At the same time, it also helps you become more proficient in controlling the water flow. Thinking this, he immediately kicked hard on the riverbed, creating a whirlpool that surrounded his entire body. This skill allows you to dodge powerful water currents beneath your feet. and explode with speed in an instant. However, it consumes stamina very quickly and cannot be sustained for long. Just at this moment, as he rushed forward at breakneck speed, a blurry black shadow passed behind him. "What is it?" Ashui was startled and quickly turned around to look. Before his eyes, a beautiful pink creature swam gracefully in the water like a gentle silk ribbon. Its sharp fins reflected the light, creating a shimmering halo around it. He stared in surprise. Precious fish. It's the real precious fish. This world is home to special creatures that have evolved, possessing superior power. And precious fish is one of them. This fish is considered a treasure of the swamp, so rare that some people are willing to pay a fortune to own it. But just as Ashui was still surprised, another beautiful figure appeared from afar. Two is impossible. This species is very rare, yet today I saw two of them. While he was still in a daze, the two precious fish suddenly accelerated, shooting out like silver arrows underwater. Without hesitation, Ashui turned to the little crocodile and shouted, "Untouchable. You go after that one. I'll take care of this one." Immediately, the little crocodile transformed, its huge body filled with a ferocious aura. It swung its tail vigorously, charging like a bolt of lightning to chase after the precious fish in front. Ashui did not hesitate. Once again, control the water flow to shoot yourself toward the remaining fish. "Damn, I should have brought a fishing net." He gritted his teeth, raised his left hand, and used his water control skill. A ball of water instantly formed, quickly engulfing the struggling precious fish in front. The opportunity came in a flash. Ashui rushed forward and hugged the precious fish tightly in his arms, the corners of his lips curling up. In satisfaction, got it, under the murky water. Ashui carefully placed the precious fish into the fish bag, secretly calculating that today's harvest wasn't bad. If you sell these fish, you can earn a small fortune to prepare for your next plan. However, just as he was thinking, a rough tentacle suddenly wrapped tightly around his waist. What? Before Ashui could react, a strong pulling force threw him to the bottom of the river like a blade of grass. The violent impact left him dizzy, spitting blood from his mouth. In front of him, a giant creature slowly appeared, a six-barbed catfish with a massive body and cold eyes like those of a demon. The skin was smooth but menacing, sharp teeth parted slightly, small vortexes forming around them. Ashui gritted his teeth, terrified in his heart. What bad luck. Is this the monster at the bottom of the river? I heard it's a cannibal. Unexpectedly, today I was unfortunate enough to run into you. His eyes quickly observed and realized that in front of the monster catfish's mouth, a powerful vortex of water was condensing. It's preparing to attack. Ashui immediately raised his hand, activating water control. In an instant, the giant water ball was shattered by him. The sea monster paused for a moment, seemingly not believing what had just happened. It was dangerous. Luckily, I reacted in time. However, before Ashui could even breathe a sigh of relief, the monster catfish immediately swung its tail down, sending him flying. Damn, this monster is too cunning. It seemed to be laughing at him, its cloudy eyes carrying a teasing glint. Then, suddenly, it rushed forward with terrifying speed. Just when Ashui thought he was about to risk his life, a giant shadow rushed out from behind. Well done. Untouchable Ashui's crocodile suddenly appeared, swinging its tail and lashing the monster's head. The blow was so strong that it sent the catfish flying. Ashui leaned his hand against a nearby rock, feeling the pain in his palm from the cut, blood flowing out and dyeing the surrounding water red. He gritted his teeth, his eyes determined, if you don't defeat it, you're done. There was no other choice. Ashui raised his hand with all his might and shouted, "Activate blood control axe." Immediately, a stream of crimson light appeared, enveloping the entire body. The surrounding water seemed to vibrate with every breath Ashui took. In his head, the system's voice rang continuously, warning, spirit power is too low. This action will lead to overload. Warning, controlling multiple water beasts will cause energy dispersion. Warning, mental power is about to reach critical levels. Ashui felt his head spinning, but he did not allow himself to stop. Put all your strength into it and roar with all your might. A green light flashed in the monster's eyes. Then it gradually became dull and dazed. It stopped struggling. It was subdued. Under the evening sunlight, the small boat still drifted slowly on the calm river surface. Ashui breathed heavily, struggling to crawl up to the side of the boat. Water dripped from his body onto the wooden floor, soaking him. He leaned against the side of the boat, looking up at the sky. His heart was still shaken. He hadn't expected the catfish spirit's spiritual power to be so strong. He almost had an anaphylactic reaction. He lowered his head to look at the water's surface, where the two monsters that had just been subdued were still swimming quietly. A satisfied smile appeared on his lips, but this time, the harvest wasn't bad either. Suddenly, the system voice rang out in his mind again, has dominated. The six-whiskered catfish can evolve by spending 800 swamp water essence points. When evolving, the six-whiskered catfish will transform into a tiger catfish. Ashui stared at the huge catfish, thought for a while, then laughed. You're so fat, let's call you a Fae. Under the water, the giant catfish gently swished its tail, seemingly dissatisfied with this name. Ignoring its reaction, Ashui flipped the bag of fish over and began to take inventory of his spoils. The crocodile untouchable opened its mouth wide, carefully took a fish in its mouth, and brought it up to him. Ashui looked intently at the small fish with sharp fins. His eyes couldn't help but light up. Ah, this is the baby precious fish. He patted the crocodile's head, not forgetting to praise him. Untouchable. You are indeed a great helper. The little crocodile wagged its tail, its eyes sparkling as if waiting for a reward. Ashui did not hesitate, immediately lit a fire on the boat, and began processing the spoils. He carefully cleaned the fish and placed it on the charcoal stove. Soon, a fragrant aroma filled the air. Ashui picked up a piece of fish meat and carefully tasted it to see if it had the effect of enhancing strength. The fish meat was soft and smooth, the rich sweetness spreading in the mouth. Soon, only white bones remained of the fish. He picked up a small piece of bone and smiled. It would be great to keep this piece of bone as a souvenir. Suddenly, the system announcement rang out. Swamp water essence plus 18. Ashui's eyes lit up. 18 essence points, equivalent to 18 essence pieces. Great. He quickly calculated, if a small fish was already worth this much, a big fish would definitely be worth even more, at least triple, possibly up to 50 for swamp water essence points. Ashui checked his fusion rate. It was currently 7.5. Like this, if you add the essence of the big fish and small fish, you can easily surpass the 10% threshold. However, you restrain your greed. Do not rush. Be patient. Right now, the most important goal is to earn tuition, but maybe this time will be enough. Ashui sat on the boat, his mouth slightly curved, a confident smile clearly visible. The scene shifts to Ku City Market, Yixing. The market street is bustling, with people crowded together between the stalls. The sound of selling and laughing mix, creating a lively atmosphere. Ashui wove through the crowd, passing a group of people gathered and chatting excitedly. He frowned slightly, his heart filled with curiosity. I just passed by New Year Tea last month. Is today some holiday? At this moment, Chen Ji-chang was standing in the middle of the crowd, holding up a big fish. His voice excited. Look at this, everyone. This is a precious fish, one that comes around once every 100 years, weighing a whopping 1 kilogram 36 taels. Hearing this, the crowd immediately stirred. Some exclaimed in admiration, others praised. Precious fish? Really? The Chen family's kid is really capable. Ashui was surprised. Oh, he also caught precious fish? He hurriedly squeezed into the crowd. Someone recognized him and laughed mockingly. Hey, isn't that Ashui? Are you in a hurry to reincarnate? Ashui pretended not to hear. Stand close to Chen Ji-chang, then slowly placed the fish basket on the ground. He coughed a few times and then smiled faintly. Our Shangru wharf today is truly blessed by the river god. We caught the precious fish in one day. As soon as he finished speaking, a burly man crossed his arms and snorted coldly. What nonsense are you talking about? The Chen family brat only caught one. Where did the second one come from? Ashui did not reply, but calmly put his hand into the fish basket, slowly pulled out a big fish, and then clearly declared, the second child isn't his, but mine. Immediately, the crowd fell silent, but soon after, bursts of mocking laughter rang out. Laughter broke out throughout the market. Haha, you said that ugly fish is a precious fish. You must have picked one up and planned to sell it for a high price. Chen Ji-chang then curled his lips and snorted coldly, his eyes filled with disdain. Suddenly, from behind the crowd, a voice rang out, Oh, isn't this scarlet snowfish? The whole market fell silent at once. A group of men marched majestically into the riverside market, where fishermen were busily buying and selling. Leading the group was Hu Qi, one of the famous martial artists of the Yang clan martial hall. His appearance attracted the attention of the crowd. One person whispered, "Isn't this the master of the Yang clan martial hall? What an extraordinary temperament." Hu Qi walked up to Chen Ji Chang's stall, glanced at the fish, and calmly asked, "How much is this fish for sale?" Chen Ji Chang is a perceptive person. Quickly replied, "My lord, how much do you think is reasonable?" Hu Qi just glanced at the fish, not in a hurry. He continued asking, "How much?" £1 7 ounces 6. Hu Qi offered without hesitation. 3 taels. Sell it? Chen Ji Chang's eyes lit up without hesitation. Cheerfully replied, "Sell, sell, sell." At this moment, a Shui also seized the opportunity, lifted the fish in his hand, and said loudly, "Sir, look at this fish of mine." Everyone around immediately whispered. Some people even laughed. "He still dares to sell fish? You really don't know your limits. You brat, you're so shameless. Daring to cheat in front of the martial arts master. If we anger him, we'll be in trouble too." Contemptuous gazes were directed at Shui, but Hu Qi did not show any anger. On the contrary, he seemed interested, looking intently at the fish. After a while, he nodded and said, "Oh, this is new Jiaochang." A Shui couldn't help but be startled, thinking to himself, "So this is new Jiaochang." But on the surface, he still remained calm and answered, "Yes, this one weighs 1 kilo, 5 taels, and 2. Hu Qi Chan pondered for a moment, then offered a price, 6 taels. "And 5 cents? Are you selling?" The words just uttered made the whole market suddenly come alive. "What? 6 taels, 5 cents? Oh my God, my family has never seen this amount of money for generations." Chen Ji Chang stood there, petrified, unable to believe his ears. Someone in the crowd sneered, his voice mocking, "Be careful. Having money doesn't necessarily mean having a life to spend it on." A Shui ignored the whispers and smiled. "Okay, sold." He happily accepted the silver, thinking to himself, "This is truly a big harvest." Chen Ji Chang saw this, his face full of disappointment, not bothering to pay attention anymore. Just silently, picking up his basket and leaving. A Shui looked at his back, then turned back and asked, "Lord Hu Qi, why is my fish worth twice as much as that one?" Hu Qi slowly explained, "The hard scales of New Jiaochang can be used as medicine, made into honey pills, to extract and refine blood and qi, and break up blood clots. Right now, I'm having trouble with this, too. So, it's very useful to me, and this fish still has its hard scales intact. It's still intact, it might be of use to me." He held the bag of silver in his hand, squeezing it tightly to his chest. With this amount of silver, joining the martial arts school seems to have hope. Under the sunset, a Shui sat on the steps, leisurely counting the silver in his hands. 6, 7, 8. Suddenly, a hand patted him on the shoulder. "Haha, good boy. Truly, you have brought honor to the people of our small town." The one who appeared was Li Liba, a sharp-tongued but very enthusiastic person. A Shui turned back, frowning. "Is it you? That day, I hadn't thanked you properly yet." Li Liba smiled smugly, pretending to be serious. "Then it's simple. Give me 6 taels of silver. Consider it a thank you." A Shui laughed and shook his head. "Dream on." Then he suddenly remembered something and asked, "That's right. I want to ask you something. Do you know how much the recruitment fee of the Yang clan martial hall is?" Liba heard this, lightly whistling at a Shui's shoulder, his expression full of confidence. "You asked the right person. My father was planning to put me in there, so I knew very well." Liba began to ramble on. Elder Yang's martial arts school requires 7 taels of silver for basic tuition, not including room and board. If you want to include accommodation, the price is 10 taels. If you want to enjoy both accommodation and medicinal nourishment, you must pay 20 taels of silver. Of course, food costs still have to be calculated separately, although the price is a bit steep, considering the reputation and quality of training. It is worth every penny. A Shui smiled slightly, then bent down to calculate his money again. 7 taels of silver. If added to the money I saved before, plus 6 taels and 5 cents from today, and 130 van from selling fish, then I have 9 taels and 2 cents. Enough. Stand up immediately. Patting Li Liba on the shoulder, he said firmly, "So, let's go register tomorrow." Li Liba was surprised and then laughed, teasing, "Ah, so, you're also a tycoon, okay? Then it's no problem." The two were laughing and chatting happily, but at that moment, a strange voice rang out in a Shui's ear, abalone discovered. He immediately turned his head to look back, but all around was only the gradually falling darkness, with not a soul in sight. Scene changed to Zhao Manor. Inside, the butler bowed respectfully and reported, "Master, Tu Zhang is currently missing, but clues lead to someone named A Shui." Zhang Xiang frowned, his expression extremely unpleasant, and said, "Such a small matter doesn't need to bother me every day. You all know how to handle it yourselves. Take care of it." When night falls, the small boat gently glides on the quiet river. A Shui sits still on the boat, meticulously slicing young bamboo shoots and placing them into the boiling pot of water. The fragrant aroma of the fish soup spreads through the night air. He opened the pot's lid, his eyes lighting up when he saw the golden, rich soup in front of him, scooping up a full bowl. He took a big gulp, excitedly exclaiming, "So delicious!" The sweetness of the fish, mixed with the refreshing taste of the young bamboo shoots, made him smile with satisfaction. A Shui dropped some food into the water for the two water beasts, laughing and saying, "Come on, let's eat together." At that moment, the system announced, "Swamp Water Essence plus 24. A Shui clenched her fists, her eyes sparkling. As expected of precious fish measure swamp water essence. How generous. And with that, the body's strength also increased significantly. He looked toward a Fei, his water beast, with eyes filled with excitement. This time is really lucky. A Fei found another precious fish. That's right, it's time to level up. Last time New Jiao Chang got 18, and this time, it's 24. Without hesitation, a Shui immediately opened the system and pressed the refine button. A surge of power coursed through his body. A strong current of air swept through every muscle, causing them to tense up. System updated with a new skill. A Shui swung his arm, throwing a punch into the air, feeling the force much stronger than before. It would be great to have a sparring partner right now. He used his water control ability, lifting a Fei into the air. The feeling of controlling the flow became clearer than ever. Unexpectedly, just by feeding it a few crumbs from the broth, the amount of essence needed for evolution was greatly reduced. Water Beast Taiwei consumes 779 swamp water essence points to evolve into Horned Crocodile. Water Beast Ruler, Six-tailed fish consumes 779 swamp water essence points. Can evolve into Tiger Head 9. A Shui frowned, contemplating the evolution option. Suddenly, he took out a strange object, an ancient bronze incense burner with exquisite patterns on its surface. He observed carefully. One side of the item was shaped like an eagle dragon, while the other side was shaped like a giant monkey. Above are carved gods, a god with a human head and a snake body, a mysterious emperor in a black robe. Who made this, anyway? Or is it an ancient artifact? But he quickly shook his head. Oh well, thinking too much about it now won't help. I'll go to the dojo tomorrow. I have to get stronger quickly to deal with the Zhao clan. The gentle morning sunlight covered the trail. The carriage left the small town, its wheels clattering toward Pingyang town. Sit in the back of the car. Liba was excited, raised his hand, and shouted, "Go." He asked the driver anxiously, "How long will it take to get there?" The Shui did not answer, just silently raised his hand and pointed into the distance. Look there. From afar, Pingyang town appeared with rows of houses close together, the atmosphere bustling with people coming and going. When the carriage stopped, Liba happily waved goodbye to the driver, then got off with a Shui, preparing to fill their hungry stomachs. They stopped at a small roadside stall and ordered some hot, steamed buns. The aroma of the meat filling wafted through the air, making them both enjoy their meal. After eating their fill, they continued to wander around the city, full of interest, looking at everything around. First, they stopped at a stall, lingering to watch the skillful hands creating the vivid figurines. Next, they stopped by the martial arts area, where people were performing a spectacular chest-breaking act. But amidst the bustling atmosphere, in a hidden corner, a group of people were discussing a shady plot. A burly man frowned and asked, "Are you sure that kid will pass by here?" The guy opposite crossed his arms and smiled wickedly. "Of course. I heard him tell the Li brat with my own ears that he would be going to the Yang clan martial hall to register today. Not only that, yesterday he sold fish for 6 taels and 5 coins. Do you know how much money that is? Even selling your wife won't make you any money." The man was gruff, his lips curled, his eyes filled with greed. Such a large sum of money to be brought to the martial arts school. What a waste. We're just helping him manage his finances. He chuckled, his voice full of cunning. Moreover, this road is the only way to the martial arts school, and it's deserted right now. What a great opportunity. Having said that, he signaled his companions to prepare for an ambush. Just then, Ashui and Liba came to a deserted road. Liba excitedly turned to Ashui and asked, Ashui, after learning martial arts, "How many people do you think I can beat?" Ashui shrugged slightly, not knowing. But in his heart, he thought differently. I don't know how many people I can fight right now. If given the chance to try it, it might not be bad. Just then, a rude voice interrupted. Stop. He growled, this road is mine. I built these bricks. Want to pass? Leave tolls. Another guy standing nearby folded his arms, looked at Ashui with an evil gaze, and then sneered. Boy, I see you again. Hurry up and hand over all the money. You have two choices. One, voluntarily hand over the money. Two, let the brothers take care of you and take it all yourself. But at that moment, Ashui smiled calmly and slowly replied, Oh, so I have a choice for you? I choose to leave you dead on the side of the road. As soon as Ashui finished speaking, the thugs rushed over with murderous expressions. Let's see who'll be lying on the street, kid. A guy shouted loudly, swinging his fist straight toward Ashui. But before he could reach him, he received a powerful punch right in the face. His entire body flew back, hitting the ground hard. Humph, you stinking brat, watch me teach you a lesson. He rushed from behind, but Ashui was lightning quick, turned around, and swung his elbow hard, hitting him right in the face. He continued to punch his opponent decisively in the head, then quickly grabbed him by the collar and threw him toward his accomplice. Both of them fell to the ground, writhing in pain. Not giving them a chance to counterattack, Ashui rushed forward, throwing another punch as strong as a sledgehammer, causing the remaining guy to hit his head on the ground and fall unconscious. Liba stood beside him, eyes wide with surprise, mouth agape. So fast, 9 blows, and it's done. Ashui looked at his fist, feeling the power surging through his body. Physical strength has indeed increased a lot. Liba was still stunned, looking at him doubtfully. Since when did you become so powerful? Do you still need to become a disciple? Ashui chuckled. What if I'm a genius? Having said that, he patted Liba's shoulder. Let's go, or we'll be late for registration. Liba still didn't completely believe it, but didn't ask any more questions, and quickly followed Ashui. After a while of asking around, the two of them finally arrived at the gate of the Yang clan martial hall. The gate is tall and majestic. From inside comes the strong sound of training. As soon as we entered, a calm and elegant young man came forward to greet us. Are you two new students here to register? He smiled, his voice gentle. I am Xiong Changsong. You two junior brothers can call me Xiong senior brother. Ashui and Liba clasped their hands in salute and replied in unison, Greetings. Senior brother Xiong. Xiong Changsong nodded in satisfaction. Please follow me, both of you. I will take you to another instructor to test your aptitude and explain in detail about martial arts. Having said that, he led the way, and Ashui and Liba followed without hesitation, prepared to embark on the challenging martial arts path ahead. Upon arrival, Xiong Changsong pointed to a middle-aged man. Let me introduce this person, Senior Hu. He will be your guide. Senior Hu is Senior Yang's personal disciple. Ashui looked closely at the man in front of him, then asked unconsciously, Is he the martial arts master who bought the fish that day? Hu Chi turned back now, his eyes filled with surprise, then burst out laughing. It was you guys. Xiong Changsong asked curiously, Is it such a coincidence? Senior Hu knows the two junior brothers. Hu Chi nodded and explained. The new Jiao Chong I used to level up was bought from this little brother's stall. Xiong Changsong smiled and nodded when he heard that. That's great, you two can follow Senior Hu to learn martial arts. You can stay at the martial arts school tonight. Ashui and Li Liba bowed their heads in greeting. Thank you, senior brother. Hu Chi nodded, signaling for the two to follow him. First, I will test your foundation. Ashui asked in confusion. What is the root? Hu Chi laughed. Don't be so tense. Just a basic test to choose the right subject. Liba took this opportunity to ask, We don't know anything about martial arts. We hope senior brother can explain more specifically. Hu Chi thought for a moment and then nodded. Okay. The foundation of martial arts is divided into 4 stages: skin stage, flesh stage, bone stage, blood stage. I see you don't understand. Hu Chi explains thoroughly. The skin stage enhances the flexibility and toughness of muscles. and flesh, making the body harder to injure, and significantly improving defensive capabilities. Once the flesh stage is overcome, physical strength surges, allowing one to lift heavy objects with ease. The bone stage unleashes greater power from the body and can shatter stone with a punch, and split wooden boards effortlessly. The blood stage is the highest level, granting a comprehensive enhancement of power and elevating the practitioner to a transcendent state. Hu Qi said seriously, actually, the core of martial arts is the word practice. However, no matter how much a normal person practices, they will still face limitations. Want to break this limit cannot lack the two elements of law and medicine. Hearing this, Ashui and Liba both wondered at the same time, Dharma and medicine? Hu Qi patiently explained, Dharma is Dharma. For example, my Yang clan martial hall has 3 martial arts, and with these martial artists have a path to advance. As for medicine, he paused for a moment and then continued. The Dharma is like a ladder to climb, but this ladder is very steep and dangerous. You need a handrail to climb faster and more steadily. And the medicine is Western flavor. For example, the boneless trash fish you sell is the medicine we need. Ashui nodded slightly, thinking to himself, that's great. In that case, won't my marsh spirit help me collect these things easily? Hu Qi looked at the two of them and slowly instructed, to junior brothers, don't be too hasty. The path of martial arts is long. You should first pay attention to every step you take. Ashui and Liba bowed their heads in gratitude. Thank you, senior brother. Then please check our routes in a hidden corner, not far from a group of people secretly observing Ashui and Liba. The leader's name is Lu Dingtai. He narrowed his eyes, his voice sinister. Young Master Zhao San, the person you're talking about is him. The person behind nodded in confirmation. That's right. Just chase these two out of the martial arts school. The one who spoke was Zhao Zuyuan. He stared gloomily at Ashui. What you said, I can decide for you. At Zhao Manor's study, an old butler stood respectfully before his master, his voice full of calculation. Old master, this Ashui is only 15 years old. He is truly an excellent alchemy material. Furthermore, he is the same age as the young master and is also an orphan. If I can make Ashui refine the elixir, it will be used to heal the young master's body. Elder Zhao looked at Ashui's portrait, his eyes flashing with thought. Your honor has been weak. Since she was young, it's really difficult to find a fetus of the same age. Ashui, this is indeed a good ingredient. Outside the study, a figure quietly hid in the darkness, attentively listening to every word exchanged within. The old butler stood before his master and respectfully asked, but master, as far as I know, this young man is about to join the Yang clan martial hall. With Yang Dongxiang's tough personality, I'm afraid we won't have a chance to make a move. Elder Zhao pondered for a moment, his eyes flashing with thought. Then he nodded slightly. This matter needs to be carefully calculated, cannot be rash. The old butler bowed his head in acceptance of the order and quietly left. As he departed, he accidentally dropped a portrait of Ashui in the still of the night. The shadow that had been hiding all this time stepped forward, picked up the painting, gazed at the drawing with deep eyes, and spoke in a hoarse voice. I must obtain the elixir and escape the mortal world. Who dares to block my way? Having said that, he clenched his fist, crushing the painting in his hand. At the Yang clan martial hall, Liba's eyes widened in surprise when he heard the results of the foundation test, to the point that he couldn't help but exclaim, I didn't expect this brat to have the best foundation, while I'm only mid-upper level. Saying this, he angrily stomped his feet. Ashui just waved his hand and shrugged in response. This is just a natural talent. Seeing Ashui turn around and leave, Liba hurriedly ran after him, calling out loudly, Wait for me, Ashui. Hurry up and go to the arena. It's about to start. Liba was startled. Huh? On the way to the martial arts arena, the two accidentally ran into Chen Jichang. Liba frowned and asked, Why are you here? Chen Jichang crossed his arms and calmly replied, You can come. Why can't I? The two immediately started arguing. You brat, want to fight? Ashui laughed, stepped forward to stop them, and pulled the two apart. We are all from the same hometown. Go away. Go away. Then he turned around and politely greeted, Hello, broji. Chen Jichang just softly not saying anything more. Ashui thought to himself, Chen Jichang is also from Yixing. He is 2 years older than me. He is famous for fishing. His relationship with my former master is also quite good. Thinking that, he asked, Broji also came to practice martial arts? Chen Ji-chang nodded and replied, in a low voice, in today's world, who doesn't want to have great strength? So I sold all my fish to raise enough money to come here. Ashui laughed. Then let's go to the training ground and join in the training. Senior who has already started teaching. Liba was startled when he heard that and quickly continued. Yes, if we don't go now, we'll be late. At the martial arts arena, the training atmosphere is extremely tense. The three of them joined the crowd and began their first practice session. In no time, Liba was panting, his face grimacing, sweat pouring down like rain. Not only Liba, even Ashui and Chen Ji-chang were exhausted, their whole bodies trembling with fatigue. At that moment, Hu-chi raised his hand to signal him to stop and said in a low voice, Now, everyone can rest for a while. In the afternoon, Drill Master Lu will continue the instructions. Hearing this, Ashui, Liba, and Chen Ji-chang immediately sat down on the ground, breathing heavily. Liba lamented, I'm so tired, I'm starting to want to give up. Chen Ji-chang just curled his lips and said, What a piece of trash, in the middle of the martial arts training ground. A mocking voice suddenly rang out, breaking the tense atmosphere. I was wondering where the fishy smell was coming from. Turns out it was from you guys. The one who spoke was Liu Yankai. His eyes were full of contempt. His tone was cold, and the stench was so bad that it made me want to faint. It's best to get away. Behind him, Zidingyi also laughed and continued. That's right, were you three born in the belly of a fish? Liu Yankai folded his arms in a superior manner. If each of you gives us the tails of silver, we will generously allow you to stay here. Liba was so angry that he almost rushed in, but Chen Ji-chang quickly held him back. Calm down, don't cause trouble for Senior Hu. Ashui briefly assessed the situation, understanding that with his current strength, he was not capable of dealing with these three. Liu Yankai smiled softly, starting to warm up his hands and feet. What, you want to get physical? Come here. I just happened to be about to break through to the Paiguan realm and wanted to experiment a bit. Ashui narrowed his eyes, thinking to himself, Paiguan realm, if it were in the middle of the river, I could take advantage of the terrain to deal with it, but this place is a dojo. Liba gritted his teeth in anger and shouted, hateful, just as the atmosphere reached its peak. A majestic voice rang out, Liu Yankai, what are you all doing here? Hu-chi coldly pointed toward the martial arts training ground. If there's nothing else, go over there and stand in a stance for half an hour. Hu-chi, up here. Your sharp eyes sweeping over the three troublemakers. Liu Yankai immediately retracted his arrogant look, but still refused to give up. Grit your teeth, warning, consider yourself lucky today. But remember, there is no place for the faint-hearted here. Liu Yankai was angry but did not dare to disobey, so he led his companions and left. Liba stood behind, raised his hand, made a mocking gesture, and cursed under his breath, damn, what a bastard. Chen Ji-chang remained calm, folded his arms, and said, okay. What's the use of cursing here? Ashui was silent, thinking, it's still strength. I must seize the moment to become stronger. Thinking this, he turned to his two friends, Liba, Brother Ji. I have to go back home for a while. Good afternoon. Please help me request leave. Liba shouted in surprise. Ashui, where are you going? Chen Ji-chang also frowned and replied, who knows? The green fields have enemies. This is what is inside that makes us strong. Nothing can happen. It's getting dark. Liba and Chen Ji-chang are on their way back from practice. Liba looked up at the sky and sighed. It's been a day, and that brat Ashui still hasn't returned. Chen Ji-chang calmly replied, the emperor is not in a hurry yet. Why are you in such a hurry, eunuch? Liba immediately got angry and shouted, are you provoking me? Brat, you really need a beating. Suddenly, a burst of applause rang out in the darkness. Haha, it seems that today the heavens have mercy and allowed me to coincidentally meet you two. Liba and Chen Ji-chang immediately became alert and turned around. The figure that stepped out from the darkness was none other than Liu Yankai. He smirked heavily. Today, Senior Hu is not here to support you anymore. Liba gritted his teeth and roared angrily, it's you again. Let's see if I can destroy you today. It was late at night. The moon hung high in the sky, casting a pale light. On the still lake, at the bottom of the lake, the water suddenly rippled, and from within the deep black water, a creature emerged. It was a giant crab, its sturdy armor gleaming under the moonlight. Its massive claws seemed to want to tear apart anything that stood in its way. Ashui stood on a Fae's back, holding a spear firmly in his hand, his eyes filled with vigilance. He thought to himself, there is no need to act hastily now. A Fae has almost reached the strength of the Paiguan realm, yet he still has to be cautious, proving that this creature is not simple. What on earth could have made both of my beasts so wary as to send out a warning? He hid behind the bushes and whispered, "It's coming." Beneath the lake's surface, countless deep holes appeared. Ashui narrowed his eyes. The one who could create these traces must be extremely large and dangerous. Behind a Fae, Untouchable has shrunk the body, returned to combat readiness. Before Ashui's eyes, a strange object gradually appeared. Remember last time, after eating abalone, the body's compatibility increased by 11.7%. The amount of water that could be controlled reached 70 pounds. More importantly, your underwater sensing ability has expanded by 1 meter, bringing the total sensing range to 6 meters. But even so, the thing before my eyes still made Ashui use me. What kind of monster is this? The giant claws protruded from the water, reflecting the cold moonlight. Ashui couldn't help but exclaim, "Crab! Why is it so big? A creature this size. Could it be that it has become a spirit, according to Drill Master Hu? Any creature that surpasses the Paiguan realm level is called a spirit. With such a huge stature, it must have reached that level." However, Untouchable and a Fae were still able to escape from it, proving that it's not invincible. However, another thought also crossed his mind. But what about me? Do I have the strength? Can I really do it? He gripped the spear tightly in his hand. His mind was in turmoil. All his previous training plans had been to become stronger. But this situation is beyond his expectations. At this moment, memories suddenly flooded back bitter moments of the past. This monster is just like your father, unreasonable. Looting Tai's smug voice echoed in his mind. There's no place for you 3 cowards here. Ashui clenched his fists. Danger and surprise have always been a part of my life. Things that can change fate always come unexpectedly. Great things require risks. Only the mediocre arrange things according to plans. I am not content with things that are already in my hands. I am not in the habit of giving them away to others. That Tu Zhang wanted to take my life, so he died. If you want to take my lotus field, then let's see who has more ability. As soon as the fighting spirit rises, a Fae and Untouchable instantly expanded their bodies, transforming into gigantic forms. At the same time, all 3 charged forward, aiming straight at the monster in front of them. Elsewhere, Chen Jichang staggered, blood pouring from his mouth after being hit like a sledgehammer. He fell to the ground, his face contorted in pain. Standing before you is Lu Dingtai. He laughed coldly, his eyes filled with contempt. You're quite tough. How are your fellow countrymen? Chen Jichang did not reply. While Lu Dingtai was off guard, he suddenly grabbed a nearby brick and used all his strength to smash it straight into his opponent's head. Slap! The blow was so powerful that blood oozed from Lu Dingtai's forehead. But instead of collapsing, he only staggered slightly. Then he put his hand on the wound and burst out laughing. Great! Let me take you to your grandfather's house. With that said, he lifted his foot and stomped hard on Chen Jichang's face. What a bunch of damn people! Lu Dingtai turned his head and ordered the 3 subordinates standing nearby, guard the door for me. I want to slowly torture these demise. Roger. At this moment, Liba was rolling on the ground in so much pain that he was grinding his teeth. Liba screamed and swung his fists, but before he could strike, Lu Dingtai easily grabbed his wrist. Crack! Pain tore through Lu Dingtai's arm as he twisted it. Back Liba gritted his teeth, his face contorted in agony. Damn, you're really talkative. If you've got the guts, say more. Lu Dingtai laughed savagely, then grabbed Chen Jichang's hair and pulled him up. Huh, that gaze is quite intense. But I will gouge out these eyes so those 2 hunting dogs can practice martial arts. Liba beside him screamed in despair. You crazy bastard, stop it. But it was all in vain. Lu Dingtai's cold fingers touched Chen Jichang's eye sockets. The pain was so excruciating that he could only grit his teeth and endure it. Fresh red blood flowed down his face, under the calm water. Suddenly, a scream rang out. Stop! Ashui stood firmly in the middle of the water, breathing heavily, eyes filled with determination. In front of him, the giant crab monster swung its huge pincers, gripping a heavy rock and crushing it into pieces. Broken rocks flew out from that direction like sharp arrows. forcing Ashui to continuously dodge. He gritted his teeth and cursed under his breath, "Damn, this guy's armor really has no weak points." Without hesitation, Ashui immediately ordered, "Untouchable, wrap it around." The mighty water beast charged forward, clamping down on the monster's giant claws, trying to pin it down. Taking that opportunity, Ashui waved his hand, using water flow control to manipulate the surging water and squeeze the crab's body. Tried to limit its movement. A terrifying force exploded. The crab monster struggled violently, using its strength to pull its pincers, knock Untouchable away. The powerful recoil also caused Ashui to be blown back. The body hit the water hard. A mouthful of fresh blood gushed from his mouth. Struggling to support his wound on the ground, Ashui tried to calm down. No good, his mental strength was being consumed too much, if this continued. Suddenly, a Fae rushed forward like an arrow, delivering a powerful bite to the thick armor. On the monster's body, a crisp cracking sound rang out from the hard armor, and a small crack appeared. Ashui was delighted and immediately praised, "Good job, a Fae." But that action angered the giant crab. It stomped furiously on the mud, destroying an entire lotus field. The white lotus roots shattered under its terrifying force. Ashui looked at the scene and trembled with anger. "Damn it, my lotus field." But before he could react, he saw the giant claw swinging straight toward him. Ashui's survival instinct forced him to quickly raise his weapon to block. But the force of the attack was so strong that he was thrown back and fell into the water. Dark red blood spread around his body. He wiped away the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes suddenly became fierce, filled with murderous intent. "Today, you must be destroyed here. You definitely have a weakness," he quickly ordered. "Go, Untouchable." A Fae bit down on its two pincers. The two water beasts immediately rushed forward, each grabbing onto one of the giant claws, trying to hold it back. He realized that no matter how many attacks he took, it would always instinctively shield its abdomen. Then, your stomach is your weak spot. Ashui took the opportunity to use all his water control, forcing the water into the tip of his wooden spear. Sweat poured down his forehead. System alarm sounded. "Warning, spirit power is too low. If you continue, the water beast will counterattack. Host, please stop this action." But Ashui just laughed coldly, thinking to himself, "I already said it. Today we will see who has real courage." He gathered all his strength and threw the spear. The wooden spearhead shot out at a terrifying speed, cutting through the air, creating a huge shockwave. When the spearhead touched the monster's belly armor, two whirlpools around the spearhead simultaneously exploded, creating two consecutive waves of acceleration. Swoosh, Ashui shouted. "This place is my territory?" Each spear pierced straight through the crab's soft underbelly. The monster roared in pain, struggled violently, and then slowly collapsed to the water's surface. Ashui knelt on one knee, breathing heavily, a tired smile at the corner of his lips. Eye by one, as soon as he finished speaking, he fell, his consciousness gradually fading into nothingness. A moment later, Ashui moved her eyelids slightly, then slowly opened her eyes. Consciousness gradually returned. He felt his whole body limp and aching, as if he had just been crushed by a rock. He suddenly sat up, put his hand on his forehead, and frowned, muttering, "Why am I unconscious like this?" Looking to the side, Untouchable and a Fae were sitting there. Their eyes were wide open, staring at him. Understanding the problem, Ashui sighed and patted the two water beasts on the head. "Are you two pulling me up?" "Thanks, you." Staggering to his feet, Ashui frowned slightly. "My head hurts so much. I'll definitely have to use this move more carefully next time." As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes suddenly stopped. Right next to him, a giant crab lay motionless on the ground. Ashui's eyes widened, filled with surprise. "What's going on? Is it a crab spirit?" The young man hurriedly walked closer, only to be even more shocked to see Untouchable and a face standing next to it. "This is the crab spirit? Did you to bring it here as well?" "Look at the giant body of the crab spirit." Ashui's eyes lit up, a mischievous gleam in them. "I wonder how much swamp water essence it will provide me." At this moment, Untouchable crawled up the crab's abdomen, using her little hand to point at the belly flap. Ashui curiously moved closer to take a closer look. "Oh, is it female?" He slowly opened the crab's apron and was surprised by what was inside. "Is this an egg?" Inside the bib are countless sparkling eggs, round like small pearls. Ashui suddenly sighed, filled with regret. If I can subdue a crab this big, then my strength will have increased by a level. But just then, a thought flashed through his mind. Wait, I didn't capture the big crab, but aren't there baby crabs inside this egg? He quickly raised his hand, his palm clenched. Can the blood control talisman subdue whatever's inside this egg? Without further hesitation, Ashui immediately made a small cut on his palm, letting fresh blood drip onto the eggshell. At the same time, the blood control talisman was activated, emitting a mysterious light that enveloped the egg. He tensed up, staring at the egg, unable to help but swallow. Was it successful? Just a few seconds later, the egg started vibrating gently. Click, click, click. A spot of water appeared on the surface, and suddenly a tiny claw reached out and broke the eggshell. Then, a small crab slowly crawled out. Its body was transparent, its round eyes looking toward Ashui. Immediately, the system rang out with the announcement, "Domination successful. Congratulations, host, on capturing the rocky crab shell. Additional information can consume 8,000 swamp water essence points to evolve rocky crab shell into Rocky Crab King." Without hesitation, Ashui immediately started cooking. The giant crab, steam rising from it, the rich aroma filling the air. Makes one crave. He quickly savored each piece of firm flesh, feeling the energy flow into his body with each bite. He swallowed. The system sound immediately rang out, and the fusion rate increased sharply from 10.4% to 36.6%. At that moment, the blood in Ashui's body suddenly surged violently. He clearly felt the power exploding in every muscle, every blood vessel. He unconsciously clenched his fist, the powerful sensation as if it wanted to escape. A roar rang out, a fierce aura emanated from Ashui's entire body. The phantom behind him gradually became clear. The three nearby pets widened their eyes, their gazes filled with terror as they faced the terrifying pressure their master was emitting. A moment later, the energy slowly receded. All the wounds on his body completely disappeared, leaving no trace of the intense battle just fought. The three pet beasts simultaneously took a step back. In their eyes, their master was no different from an angel descending to earth. Ashui raised his hand, feeling the change in his body. This is amazing. I didn't expect the fusion to increase this much. 36.6% not only improves physical fitness and compatibility, but also provides a huge source of additional energy. He even felt the blood rushing through his body, suddenly remembering Drill Master Hu's words that he had accessed the instructor's energy, maybe even stronger. Ashui quickly divided the remaining eggs and crab meat for Untouchable. Afei, you two eat. Crab meat is hard to preserve. As for crab eggs, each one only provides 6 swamp water essence points, which is too little. Looking at the little crab that had just hatched from the egg, Ashui smiled gently, naming it Quantu. All right, from now on, your name is Quantu. However, as soon as he finished speaking, his eyes suddenly darkened. It's the cruel for the same kind to eat one another. Quantu, forget it. Then he sat down quietly, contemplating the path ahead. Just within a month, a breakthrough in family status. You will have the opportunity to become an official student of the dojo. By then, Zhao Manor will no longer be able to threaten you. Ashui clenched his fists, his sharp eyes filled with determination. Time to return to the gym and prepare for tomorrow morning's training. On the other hand, Liu Yangkai was about to reach out and gouge out Chen Ji Chang's remaining eye, when suddenly a loud shout rang out. Stop! The majestic shout shook the whole area. Liu Yangkai frowned, turned his head to look, and saw a middle-aged man wearing a martial arts uniform. Walking over, he also carried the badge of the Yang clan martial hall in his hand. Liu Xiaohui's eyes were cold, and his voice was deep. Liu Yangkai, you've had enough. The martial arts school has its own rules. Liu Yangkai sneered and stood up leisurely. It turned out to be Drill Master Liu. But don't blame me for not warning you. Dealing with them wasn't my idea. I was just following young Master Zhao San's orders. Liu Xiaohui frowned slightly, his eyes flashing with surprise. But Liu Yangkai did not stop there. He took a step forward, looking straight into Drill Master Liu's eyes, his tone sarcastic. So will your dog follow the rules of the martial arts school or the rules of Zhao Manor? Liu Xiaohui gritted his teeth, his hands clenched into fists, but still did not respond. Seeing this, Liu Yankai's subordinates burst into mocking laughter. Look, this dog just left Zhao Manor a few days ago and has already forgotten who its owner is. Liu Yangkai slowly approached, his tone full of disdain. Didn't Zhao Manor take you and your father in before? If it weren't for Zhao Manor, would you have today? A dog that loves life and is afraid of death should just obediently follow orders. He paused for a moment, then continued, his tone hypocritical. If you obediently listen, maybe I can even help you say a few nice words in front of Master Zhao. Don't forget your father is still at Zhao Manor. Lu Xiaohui clenched his fists, his eyes filled with anger, but in the end, he still lowered his head, saying to bitter words, sorry. As long as I can protect my family, anything is fine. Lu Yongkai saw this and became even more pleased, laughing loudly. That's right, you must know your place. Calling you a mangy dog sounds reasonable, doesn't it? He and his subordinates laughed heartily, but at that moment, a mouthful of saliva flew straight onto Lu Yongkai's face. He was stunned. Chen Jichong, despite his swollen face, still raised his head and laughed mockingly. Ha, your grandfather has never liked your dirty tricks. This is really embarrassing. Lu Yongkai looked up, wiping away the saliva with his hand. His eyes were cold to the point of being terrifying. Still very strong-mouthed, huh? Immediately, he stomped down on Li Liba's arm. Li Liba screamed in pain, his face pale. Lu Yongkai bent down, his voice mocking. A hero, right? Go on. I won't hit you, but I will torture your friends to death. Chen Jichong yelled, his eyes filled with hatred. Damn it, if you have the guts, aim at me. Lu Yongkai curled his lips and said, do you think anyone else will come to save you? Drill master who is not here. Who do you two useless people rely on? As soon as he finished speaking, one of his subordinates was sent flying by a powerful force. Lu Yongkai was stunned and immediately turned his head back. In the midst of dust, a dark figure slowly walked out. His eyes were cold, his aura surged. His body as strong as a war god. It was a Shui. He glanced around, seeing his friends lying on the ground, gasping for breath, their bodies covered in injuries. The anger in his heart exploded instantly. His hands clenched so tightly that his joints creaked, and his eyes burned with fury. He enunciated each word, his voice seeming to come from hell. I only want one thing. Just one thing. That would be to knock out all your teeth. You can't escape today. On the high roof, under the dim moonlight, Hu Qi and Master Yang silently watched the battle below. The cold night wind blew through the tiled roof, carrying the dew that seeped into their skin. Hu Qi let out a soft sigh, his eyes flashing with regret. It's all my fault. I was so happy about breaking the blood seal that I drank a little too much and ended up being late. Otherwise, things wouldn't have turned out this way. He pondered for a moment, then looked down at the arena. His eyes flashed with thought. This Lu Xiaohui, I always thought he was cold, but I didn't expect him to be so patient. Master Yang nodded, his voice calm. Although he has a cold personality, he still retains a bit of kindness. It's just a pity that he was forced into a corner today. That's why he couldn't break through the blood barrier. A martial artist without courage is like a person without breath, just an empty shell. Hu Qi replied in a low voice. A Shui just entered the dojo today, while Lu Yongkai is close to breaking through to the Paiguan realm. If I fight him, I'm afraid I have no chance of winning. But at that moment, Master Yang's eyes suddenly flashed as they stopped on A Shui. There was a hint of interest in his voice. Wait, this young man's blood is quite interesting. Under the arena, Lu Yongkai laughed loudly, his tone full of contempt. Want to knock out all our teeth? Yes, I can do it. Please provide the text you'd like me to check and correct. The Shui gritted his teeth, his eyes as cold as ice, spreading through the air. His voice rang out cold, like a blade just left its sheath. I told you, today I will break all your teeth. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged forward like a cheetah. You are just a lowly fisherman. Get on, one of Lu Yongkai's subordinates roared, throwing a punch straight at A Shui. But in the blink of an eye, he leaned to avoid it, then swung his leg and kicked him straight in the head. The guy flew away, fell to the ground, and passed out on the spot. The second guy took the opportunity to rush forward, swinging his fist straight at his head. But in just a split second, a Shui turned around to avoid it, while at the same time throwing a lightning-fast punch to the opponent's face. He screamed, blood pouring from his nose. The third man immediately launched a fatal kick at a Shui's chest, but he calmly turned around and dodged. You brat, don't mess around. He had barely finished speaking when a thunderous fist struck him straight in the mouth. Blood splattered everywhere. He staggered and collapsed on the spot. A Shui slowly turned his head, his eyes like sharp blades, looking straight at Lu Yongkai. It's your turn. Liu Yongkai narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. Do you think that by defeating them, you can be on par with me? Around him, a faint blood energy spread. This was the sign of someone about to enter the Paiguan realm. The two stared at each other, neither willing to give way. The two charged at each other like wild beasts. Punches and kicks clashed, echoing through the air. Liu Yongkai continuously launched powerful kicks, but his Shui quickly dodged and counterattacked, with a straight kick to the stomach, causing Liu Yongkai to halt. Right after that, he threw a punch at his face. Liu Yongkai staggered, but before he could react, a hook struck his jaw. Blood spurted from his nose and mouth, and his body staggered backward. Shui stood up straight, his eyes filled with contempt. You're just that good. Damn it, you're just a stinking fisherman. What right do you think you have? He rushed forward. The knife tip pierced Shui's stomach. The pain was sharp, blood flowed, but his eyes did not waver. You have no support, just a pitiful orphan. Let me send you to hell. Shui used his bare hands to block the blade. Blood flowed from his palm, but he did not retreat. Disgusting coward squeeze. A fatal punch, straight down, caused Liu Yongkai to hit his head on the ground. Blood flowed down his face as he trembled, his voice filled with panic. No, don't come here. He turned to look at Liu Xiaohui and shouted loudly, You don't care. As an instructor, you let him attack your fellow disciples? Liu Xiaohui clenched his teeth but did not have time to reply. Enough! A large sword descended from the sky, stabbing into the ground, separating the two. Yang Dongxiang jumped down from the roof, his hand tightly gripping the hilt of his sword. Liu Yongkai, Zidingyi. Wu Weilong, Hanquity. You six don't need to come to the martial arts school anymore. He turned to Liu Xiaohui. You go into the detention room and wait for me to handle it. Liu Xiaohui bowed his head. Yes, master. Shui heard that, and his heart was shocked. Master, could this be the legendary Yang Dongxiang? But today, I made such a huge mistake. The martial arts school probably won't let me stay. Damn it. He immediately remembered Lu Dingtai's words. At this time, who can give you support? You're just an orphan, fatherless, all alone. Sure enough, it still doesn't work. But then, he suddenly looked at him. You are Shui. He nodded. Yang Dongxiang said in a low voice, Are you willing to be my personal disciple? Shui was stunned. What? Seeing that Shui was still bewildered, he immediately walked over and gently helped him stand up. 2 weeks later, at Yang Manor, the atmosphere was bustling. Everywhere, servants were hurrying back and forth, busily preparing for an important event. In the corridors, the chatter was incessant. I heard that today the master will officially accept his 9th personal disciple. I've never heard that this junior brother is a handsome guy. Really? I really want to see with my own eyes what this little junior brother looks like. Amidst the bustling atmosphere, a girl dressed elegantly and with a gentle appearance entered Shui's room. In her hand was a dark blue dress in an exquisite wooden box. She smiled, bowed her head, and spoke softly. Liang, young master, these are the clothes and props prepared for you by your senior brothers and sisters. In addition, we have also been assigned the task of helping the young master change his clothes. Shui was slightly embarrassed. No need. Please wait outside for a moment. I'll change immediately. The girl covered her mouth and chuckled. Her eyes flashed with teasing, but she still obediently backed out. Shui closed the door, stood in the middle of the quiet room, and let out a long breath. 2 weeks have passed since I defeated Liu Yongkai. He clenched his fists, the feeling of that day's battle still clear as if it were yesterday. The wounds on his body had not completely disappeared, and he could not forget the images of Chen Jichang and Li Liba, his fellow disciples who had fought alongside him in the fierce battle and had also suffered severe injuries. But fortunately, thanks to Master Yang's treatment, they all recovered. Today, I'm no longer alone. I have a master, a senior brother, and a senior sister. I have support. Shui's eyes flashed with determination. Zhao Manor. Next, I will defeat you. At the same time, in another room in Yang Manor, the atmosphere grew increasingly bustling. The senior brothers and sisters gathered, laughing and talking happily, enthusiastically discussing the new junior brother they had just accepted. Hu Qi enthusiastically recounted. In my opinion, junior brother Liang was truly in a precarious situation that night. Can you imagine? Someone who just entered the dojo for 1 day was able to defeat someone who was about to enter the Paiguan realm, Jizijo, the the fourth senior brother sitting nearby, just smiled, raised his hand to signal to stop. His tone was helpless. Okay, Xiaoqi, I've been hearing this for the past 2 weeks. Xiang Changsong laughed, haha, patting Hu Qi on the shoulder. But it cannot be denied that junior brother Liang was able to make the master fall in love. At first sight, definitely a dragon and phoenix among humans. Cao-rank lawyer standing next to him also smiled slightly and nodded in agreement. At this moment, Zhuo Shaokin, the fifth senior sister, smiled slightly, her eyes glancing at Chizhijo meaningfully. Fourth senior brother, are you perhaps jealous of little junior brother? What did you give junior brother this time? Chizhijo immediately retorted, proudly folding his arms and saying, I even gave him an arm guard. This is good stuff, just a small price. Next to him is Lu Gang, the third senior brother, and Liu Mang, the second senior brother. Hu Qi laughed, senior sister, don't tease fourth senior brother anymore. Do you know how difficult it was for him to save that much money? Laughter echoed throughout the room, and the atmosphere was extremely lively. Little brother's out. All eyes immediately turned to the door. A Shui stepped out, wearing a dark blue outfit. His hair was neatly combed, and under the lantern light, his facial features were even sharper. The deep black eyes carried a sharp look, but were also full of pride. That look made everyone secretly admire him. A Shui clasped his hands in salute, his voice filled with respect. Hello, senior brother, senior sister. Thank you, senior brothers and senior sisters, for giving me gifts. At this moment, Brother Luke stepped forward, patted his shoulder, and laughed loudly. Haha, I haven't given it yet, junior brother. I have prepared something very good for you. This is a solid, pure, premium alloy. When do you have time? Come to me and I will personally make you a weapon. A Shui gratefully bowed his head to thank senior brother Luke. At this time, Hu Qi clapped his hands and said loudly, all right, all the gifts have been given. Let's go to the main hall quickly. Don't keep master and mistress waiting. Everyone responded in unison. Let's go. Laughter echoed throughout the hallway, following the group toward the main hall, where a new chapter in a Shui's life was about to officially begin. Inside Zhao Manor, the flickering oil lamps cast shadows on the vermilion-painted walls, creating a gloomy and heavy atmosphere. The middle-aged butler bent down and walked into the study, his face full of tension, cold sweat beading on his forehead. He bowed his head and said, Master, Tuzhong has been found. But the thing in his stomach is nowhere to be seen. What? Old Master True, a middle-aged man with a gloomy face and sharp eyes, immediately turned around in a fit of anger. A fierce slap to the butler's face made him stagger back, his red cheek marked with a handprint. Trash, do you know what will happen if that thing gets out? How much trouble are we going to get into? If the authorities come to your door, then you should bring your own head to pay. Old man, it's all because of that Shui guy. He must have killed Tuzhong. Make that thing run outside. A Shui? What? According to Zhao Or, he has already become Yang Dongxiang's personal disciple. The old man clenched his fist. Do you want to try how sharp Yang Dongxiang's blade is? The butler bowed his head to the ground, not daring to breathe loudly. Listen carefully. I don't care what method you use. We must find that thing at all costs. Yes, I will go immediately. The butler wiped his sweat, bowed, and left, leaving Mr. True standing in the study, his eyes like a poisonous snake, silently waiting for his prey to escape his net. At the same time, in the Yang Manor's great hall, a solemn atmosphere enveloped the entire large room. To rows of disciples lined up neatly on both sides, their eyes filled with admiration as they looked toward the center. Yang Dongxiang, a middle-aged man, with a dignified appearance, said, A Shui, you are grateful, repaying, braver than others, making you sincere and diligent. I want to take you as my disciple. Are you willing? A Shui knelt down on one knee, his voice firm. Disciple is willing. When you come to my school, you must be humble, patient, and diligent. Respect your teachers and be filial to your family. Do not massacre fellow disciples. Do not be disobedient and unfilial. Do not commit evil or bully the weak. Do you remember it well? Disciple Shui understands. Yang Dongxiang smiled with satisfaction, reaching out to pick up the teacup on the table. His eyes were filled with tolerance and majesty. After drinking tea and becoming my disciple, you will be my 9th personal disciple. Yang Dongxiang paused for a moment and then continued, from now on, no one can bully you. No one can humiliate you. Master is your support. Do you understand? Ashui clasped his hands and said loudly, Disciple. Ashui understands. In another development, many people became jealous of Ashui. After finishing their training, they immediately said, I heard that guy Ashui has become Master Yang's direct disciple. That's right, this is truly a life-changing event for a poor guy. And the most infuriating thing is that the Liu Yangkai group was kicked out of the martial arts school. What else? I heard there is another mastermind behind them. Zhao Ziyuan stood behind, gnashing his teeth. Hateful. Damn Ashui. On the other side, Ashui was sitting with Hu Qi. Hu Qi asked him, Junior brother, do you know what the 4 views and 7 paths are? Ashui smiled and replied, I only know that the first 4 levels of the blood and flesh barrier are the ones I don't understand much about. I don't know much about the 7 paths beyond. Hu Qi explained the so-called 7 realms, also known as the Manhwa realm, Misty Wolf realm, Beast Tiger realm, True Thought realm, and Heavenly Dragon realm, Cauldron Fusion realm, Crimson Transformation realm. Manhwa realm, at its peak, one could stand unmoved while dozens of galloping war horses pulled in opposite directions. Misty Wolf realm, the blood energy surged like a rising tide. When the power erupted, ordinary people would look on in horror, like a little rabbit facing a fierce tiger, their guts shattered. Beast Tiger realm's blood energy surged like a rising tide, and when it erupted, ordinary people would be horrified, like a little rabbit facing a fierce tiger. Their courage shattered. True Thought realm, every movement causes the ground to tremble, capable of collapsing mountains and blocking rivers. Heavenly Dragon realm, people are like heavenly dragons. They can break free from the constraints of heaven and earth, leaping 3,000 zhang straight into the clouds, which is the martial saint of a nation. Cauldron Fusion realm and Crimson Transformation realm. I don't know much. I only heard that experts who have reached this realm have reached the point where their feathers have grown enough to be able to ascend. After hearing this, Ashui couldn't help but think, is martial arts in this world really that powerful? If I reach the level of ascension, will I ever be able to return to my old world? Then he asked Hote, I wonder what realm the master has reached? Haha, little brother, do you know how many martial arts schools there are in Pingyang town? After a rough count, Ashui calculated that there were about 3 shops. Hu Qi continued, the other 2 shops can stay in Pingyang town because they can only afford to open a shop here, and Master Yang is in Pingyang town because this is his hometown. Our martial arts school has been ranked first for many years, because Master Yang is the only martial artist in Pingyang town who has reached the Beast Tiger realm. Ashui suddenly realized she just needed a support system. You can absolutely enter that realm very quickly. Hu Qi Sui laughed loudly. Ha ha! This morning's lesson ends here, little brother. There's no need to be too hasty about the matter of cultivation. Only by taking steady steps forward can we progress. Ashui bowed deeply in thanks, then thought to himself, this way, the pressure from Zhao Manor will be reduced. The next step is to quickly capture the abalone to break through the Paiguan realm and become a true martial artist. One fine day, Ashui climbed onto the fishing boat, untouchable again. He caught so many fish that the boat's hold wasn't big enough to hold them. He was thinking about changing to a bigger boat, but despite the abundance of fish, he unfortunately didn't find any abalone. Who knows when he'll be able to catch more? Ashui checked the system, and the fusion rate had reached 37%. If I can catch it, there will be a chance to break through the Paiguan realm. He was suddenly startled when the water's surface moved violently. What's that noise? What is this? What's happening? Before he was a toad biting a giant bird. The situation doesn't look good. The fiercer they get, the more Ashui's boat is affected. The water pouring in makes his fish lose color and disappear. The boat is also breaking into pieces. With a loud cry, he fell into the water. Oh no, this is a mental block. Just like that, he fell asleep without realizing. The moment I opened my eyes, it was already dark. Ashui had been pulled to shore. Beside you is a crab named Kwantu. Huh? I just fainted. You saved me again? There were loud noises all around. Ashui's head was aching. It was the bird's cry that made me dizzy. Why is this demon's strength so terrifying? A monster that can capture it. Isn't that even more terrifying? Ha! This time it's all for naught. The boat is broken. All the fish have run away. The plan to break through the Paiguan realm is lost. It has to be postponed. Suddenly, Untouchable crept over, holding a scarlet snowfish in its mouth. Ashui was overjoyed. Oh my god, my baby. We can try to break through the Paiguan realm. Blood energy represents the strength of a martial artist's body. But a martial artist is not strong merely because of sufficient blood energy, but it is because the body's constitution is strong enough that it can condense sufficient blood energy. Blood energy is not a cause of strength, but a result of strength. This fruit can promote the doubling of the cycle of life and death without interruption. It was dark. Ashui lit an incense stick and began to meditate. In front of you is a pot of boiling water. In the swirling smoke, Ashui remembered when Huchi gave him that object and said, "This is called the condensation of divine incense. Can easily help martial artists break through barriers." Breakthrough to Paiguan realm consists of 8 steps. The key for martial artists is to train the blood flow in the chest. Every time you finish training your blood energy, you can replenish it with fish and time. This is already the 38th time. There's still a little bit left. Ashui thought back and remembered Huki's words. The key to breaking through the Paiguan realm was to use internal energy to stimulate the fascia and skin of the entire body, bringing out the effects of training. Blood and chi are the flow of energy that appears in your chest when you practice boxing. They are the condensed essence of the human body and the root of life. When you can feel a warm stream of air entering from the chest, combined with the blood in the chest, this stream of air flows to the bones, limbs, and finally to the fascia and skin, transforming into a wave of heat. This is body training. After practicing, the body will become strong, emitting a halo of light. The heart also radiates golden light. Ashui suddenly opened his eyes, breathing heavily, his face contorted. This is already the 40th time, but unfortunately, there's still a little bit left. The notice board appeared again. Peak Master, Ashui refined the white monkey spirit. Water to fuse with 49% swamp water essence, right? Controlling the water beast, Taihui consumes 779 points of swamp water essence and can transform into a horned sailfish. Controlling the water beast, 6-whiskered catfish consumes 779 points of swamp water essence and can evolve into a tiger head. Control the aquatic beast, rocky crab shell, consumes 8,000 swamp water essence points, can evolve into rocky crab king. Looking at the electronic board, the fusion rate is 49%. Ashui stroked his chin. 49% already, but the Paiguan realm is still a bit lacking, not through yet. But I have a feeling there's a 50% chance there'll be a big change. The fish and meat are all gone. Right now, the lotus root is of very little use to me. Looks like I'll have to go catch a precious fish. At that moment, the sunlight was shining through the window. It was already morning. At that moment, Chen Jichang's father and Li Liba's father came to the door. Ashui saw you go home yesterday, so I specifically came to find you to ask about this. Ashui happily ran to the door to greet him. Uncle Li, what's the matter? Tell me. Ashui recognized these 2 people as Li Liba and Chen Jichang's fathers, but did not understand why the 2 of them had come here. Li Dakong smiled and said, "It's no big deal. Just want to ask you, why hasn't our kid come home these past few days? Is he still at the gym, or is he hanging around somewhere?" "That's right, my son hasn't come home yet. Come here, especially to ask." Ashui scratched his head and smiled shyly. "I came home late yesterday and forgot to tell my 2 uncles. The 3 of us performed well and were appreciated by the martial arts master. Set aside a room in the house for us to stay in, so I haven't been home for a long time, focusing on practicing martial arts." Ashui remembered the injuries of the other 2. One had a cracked skull, one had a broken forehead, and one had a broken arm. They were only afraid to go home because of their injuries. Li Dakong laughed when he heard Ashui say that. "Ha ha ha, as expected of my son. Our Yixing town already has a few martial artists." Chen Cheng also happily continued. "Haha, since I was little, I watched Ashui and our 2 little boys grow up together. I knew these 3 little boys would definitely have a bright future. Oh, that's right, Ashui. I woke up this time to remind you that our hometown wants to hold a ceremony to worship the river god." Ashui was stunned when he heard that. In his memory, there was indeed this custom, but it had already been held 3 months ago. Chen Cheng ignored his surprise and said, "That's right, yesterday the river god appeared. We must make offerings." "That's right, the river god jumped out of the river, catching a fiery great bird, breaking the sky." Ashui remembered again. The 2 of them were talking about that toad. Knowing the root of the problem, Shui immediately said to Chen Chang and Li Dakang, Uncle Li. I know. I will pay the participation fee at that time. Yeah, Shui, don't forget that. At the same time, inside the Huodong Cave Temple, Shui suddenly emerged from that stream of water, held a sharp wooden stake in his hand. He jumped up on a rock and sat for a bit, then somersaulted and dove straight into the water. Untouchable opened its mouth wide and charged. Shui quickly flipped over to avoid it. He silently calculated the power of the water flow that could be controlled, about 300 pounds, which could be compressed and exploded in 10 liters of water. That is, 1 liter of water corresponded to a force of 30 pounds. Shui took a step forward, decisively striking out with a water ninja technique, untouchable. And a face still stood there indifferently, watching Shui's attack. This attack quickly disappeared before it could reach its target. Seeing this, the two animals immediately transformed into cute chibi forms. Although he didn't hit those two creatures, Shui's current underwater abilities have surpassed the Paiguan realm. Perhaps he can easily defeat the 4 Lu Din Tai. The system displays the information board, Peak Master, Shui. Refining Swamp Spirit Water Ape, White Fusion 49%. Swamp Water Essence 0% River Care. Control the Water Beast Tai Hui, 6-Whiskered Catfish, Rocky Crab Shell. Review of Swamp Spirit Water Ape originated from Huayo Kai Chu, Incomplete Awakening. The small, weak character Shui looked at the wooden stake in his hand. I admire this water ring technique. If only I had a weapon that was more convenient. It would be great. I heard from third senior brother that in this world there is a weapon called Linvo, which can heal itself and level up. But weapons of this level usually have to be combined with treasures of heaven and earth, creating the jet black core of the sword, emitting the halo that Shui had been thinking of. Even he didn't know when he would be able to obtain such a weapon. This thought made him sigh. Just at that moment, Shui felt a strange movement. What's going on? Fei gestured to him. It's staring intently at this pile of rubble. It seems like there's some movement down there. Underneath the rock, there was actually a feather emitting a halo. This must have fallen from that giant bird. It looks very special. Shui looked at the feather and wondered. Could this be a rare treasure with such a special appearance? He thought to himself. It just so happens that I have to go to senior brother Lu Gang's forge later to confirm the weapon, so I can ask him while I'm at it. Pingyang Town. Shui searched his memory as he walked to see where third senior brother's forge was. At this moment, he saw a column of black smoke rising into the sky in the distance. Looking at the range, it's quite close to Pingyang Town. I'll ask senior brother again. Lu Clan's forge. Lu Gang struck down with a hammer before stopping. Is it Liang Shidi? Brother lawyer, this morning I went fishing and encountered something difficult to solve. So I came here to ask you specifically. Lu Gang saw Shui's difficult problem and shouted, Red Fire Feather. This is some good stuff. Lu Gang looked at that feather with wide eyes. Shui also secretly exclaimed in his heart, I just got hold of something good. If I'm not happy, then I must be mentally ill. Do you know anything, brother? Junior brother Liang, do you know where this crimson feather came from? This feather comes from a monster called Red Fire Feather. Every time it encounters danger to its life, it pours the essence of its entire body's life into a part of its feathers, then scatter in all directions, using this to escape. Among those feathers, there will be one that contains the most life essence, called the Red Fire Feather. It will use this feather to complete the regeneration process, just like a lizard loses its tail. But instead of just losing its tail, it sacrifices its entire body. Shui heard that, and his eyes lit up. So powerful. Then this one of mine is Red Fire Feather. Of course, it's not Red Fire Feather. No, if we have no way of getting close at all. Lu Gang's smile was like pouring cold water on Shui, causing him to collapse. But he continued, I advise you to forge it into a weapon with spirituality, instead of just absorbing energy. Junior brother, have you decided which weapon you will choose? Shui has thought about this matter carefully, based on the comparison with the long clamstone before. A long-handled weapon would be more suitable for underwater use. Can also be combined with self-creation skills. So, Shui confidently ordered a spear. Lu Gang was stunned. Long spears are quite rare in martial arts schools, although it is said that long weapons have the advantage of reach. But it's also harder to control. I've decided. Please put this feather into the weapon, senior brother. Shui also wants a weapon with spiritual energy. Lu Gang immediately smiled and agreed. When it's done, I'll have someone call you to pick it up. Ashui remembered the story of the black smoke column piercing the sky, so he asked Lu Gang, "What is that?" Lu Gang's attitude immediately changed by 180 degrees. His face darkened, and the veins on his hands stood out. That Dharma Lotus temple caught fire this morning, and in the fire, something that should not have appeared. The fire was huge, something that shouldn't have appeared. Is it Shangui? A horrible place with horrible monsters. In Shangui, those are the eerie sounds. You say, what did they yell at you about? They say we are the pill platform. Pill ignition are an old man wearing a hat, holding a knife with an unusual handle. He said, "It's all because of my mother." The little monk looked at him as if he were seeing a ghost, so scared that his face turned pale. His head covered in sweat, and he stuttered. "Please, donor." Dharma Lotus Temple appears where it should not appear. A demon with a swollen, veined head, black eye sockets that still glowed like headlights, and sparse, blood-stained teeth. It was aiming at the group of people below. They were discussing. Could it be a monster with strength equal to that of a war horse? At the same time, there was someone barely alive, yet still not forgetting to call for help. Back in the day, when the inflorescence had not yet burned, everything was still peaceful. But a storm was coming, and a pregnant woman ran through the forest. Seeing the monks sweeping the temple, I immediately thought of asking for help. The woman used all her strength to call for help, successfully attracting the attention of the young master. But because she was so tired, she fell down. Before she completely lost consciousness, she still managed to see the young master anxiously rushing toward her. By the time she woke up, there was another master round. When they saw her open her eyes, everyone cheered. "Master, the female donor has awakened." The old master's hair was white, and his head was bald. His eyes were unable to open. "Amitabha Buddha, female donor, you have finally awakened." The woman held her head and sat up. "Fang Zhang, where am I? This is Dharma Lotus Temple. What happened to you?" The woman tearfully recounted. The little girl is originally from Huazhou Prefecture. 3 months ago, she visited Pingyang Town. But I didn't expect that. Encountered a group of bandits, mysteriously dressed. The woman was then captured, tied up, blindfolded, and taken to a mysterious place. When her blindfold was removed, she saw a place full of corpses, horribly grotesque. That place is truly hell. The people there are all tormented into demons. Old Fang Zhang was puzzled. Did they tie you up to get money? TSK, this guy is old. Is he slow-witted? A bunch of evil spirits who train people into demons. How could they crave money? The woman was extremely scared, her words stuttering as she spoke. "No," they said. "We are alchemists. Pill platform, pill ignition." They cast some kind of spell on them, making their bellies bloated and their entire bodies look like they're anemic. Green and gaunt, the evil spirits kept clasping their hands and chanting. Meanwhile, the old devil in the lead swung his knife, drawing a horrible blood clot. Ajia looked at the scene, grimaced, and exclaimed, "This is truly miraculous. Lang Yong, what the hell are these bellies?" Lang Yong coldly said, "Yes, this is the fetal pill created by the great envoy. They will be forced to drink the broth made from shangui meat. Regardless of male or female, the belly will swell with pregnancy meatballs. These meatballs will form into embryos after 3 months. Many of them can be refined into fetal pills. It is said that if eaten, one can become immortal. They will form after 3 months. So what if it's more than 3 months? If you don't take it out after 3 months, the eggs will hatch. Bloom, what? You don't want to know." Meanwhile, at Dharma Lotus Temple, your senior brother Ziming has already entered the city. To report to the authorities, you go bring vegetarian food to the female donor. "Yes, master." Ziming obediently went to deliver the food. The boy stood at the door and asked, "Is the female donor in there?" Seeing that no one answered, I went in. It was pitch black inside. The female donor on the bed was motionless. Ziming thought she was asleep, but when she saw something under her feet, she stopped, a scent wafted up, and a pair of bloodied feet appeared. Ziming was scared pale, still trying to call the donor, but no one answered. He trembled as he looked up at the bed. The female donor had already passed away without closing her eyes. Ziming was so frightened by the terrifying scene that he knocked over the food tray. A drop of blood fell and hit his head. Ziming trembled as he looked up again and saw a monster. Its head was swollen. Its eye sockets were black, and its pupils were as bright as car headlights. Its teeth were sparse, blood scattered. and the blade kept dripping blood. Meanwhile, the master went to report to the authorities and was leading people back. The two officials looked at the man behind them with respect. "Thank you, young Master Lu, for taking the initiative to help us come here to investigate. Otherwise, we would have had to trouble you to find someone." Wang Bukawai, "No need for formalities. This is something martial artists and martial arts schools must do," the old man carefully instructed. "This time at Dharma Lotus Temple, you must help Zhao Manor hide some corpses in the temple. Take that thing inside out at the same time." "What is that thing?" He doesn't need to know that. When he sees it, he will naturally understand what it is. At this moment, the master announced, "The three officials are ahead. This place is my Dharma Lotus Temple." At this moment, the entire Dharma Lotus Temple was surrounded by a gloomy atmosphere. When they opened the door, corpses were scattered everywhere, and blood flowed like a river. The young monk was extremely agitated and quickly ran to save his master. He acted too quickly. The officials tried to stop him, but it was too late. Wang Bukawai immediately sent Xiaola to chase after him, while he and young Master Lu stayed here to observe. The young hero Lu looked at them for a while and said, "Most of these corpses have bite marks, looking like they were caused by a big tiger. But is there any tiger that big? Moreover, there was not a single complete body at the scene. Damn it, that damn Zhengxiang said some of the corpses were like this." While he was still thinking, Wang Bukawai on this side shouted, "The bloodstains." The bloodstains seemed to extend this way, like a corpse being dragged away. The Dharma Lotus Temple now seemed to be submerged among the skinny, dry branches. "The trail of blood stops here. Xiaola and that monk are here too." The other two quickly walked over. The young monk was so shocked that he knelt on the floor, his face pale, and he was sweating profusely. Wang Bukawai and Lu Thuheap were also terrified by the scene before their eyes. Wang Bukawai was so shocked that he cursed. "What the hell is this? And what happened here? Is this the thing Zhengxiang told him to bring out? If so, this is a big deal. Because that thing has the shape of a giant egg, the eggshell is covered in blood, and the bottom of the egg is tightly sucking in the corpses." Although the young monk was so scared that half of his soul had gone, the remaining half still instinctively chanted, "Namo Amitabha Buddha." Just then, the door automatically slammed shut. Wang Bukawai immediately ran over and knocked on the door, hoping someone outside would open it, but Lu, the young hero, said, "Now, it's not the door that matters. It's about to bloom." The egg was starting to swell. The veins were tightening, bursting like a compressed balloon, about to burst. "Young hero Lu, what is this?" "This is the Shangui egg, the signature trick of Gui Mujiao. That egg is getting stronger and stronger." Wang Bukawai was shocked. Gui Mujiao, those remnants of the previous dynasty. Shangui, once it hatches and absorbs enough flesh and blood, will enter stage 2. Now that the nest is built, it is about to evolve into stage 2. Young hero Lu, looking at this, feels a little more nervous. That's the monster that has the same power as Ben Ma right now. A skinny arm, like a dry twig, of the monster had protruded from the eggshell. Very quickly, a leg also appeared. Its hatch, Shangui, stage 2. A monster with long limbs and a skinny body, crawling like a spider, but with only 4 limbs. The young monk did not know what to do but chant the Buddha's name. Honestly speaking, even if Buddha were to appear at this point, there is no turning back. But Buddha did not appear, so the person reciting Buddha's name was quickly bitten on the neck by the monster. Xiaola turned pale and drew his sword to save the little monk, but was stopped by Wang Bukawai. He can't live anymore, and Xiaola can't run anymore either. Shangui swung his arms and grabbed him, swinging him back and forth. Xiaola was thrown around, his vision spinning, and he vomited blood. But the monster did not let go. It continued to grip Xiaola's face. Xiaola was scared, resisted, and begged, "Save me, young hero Lu. Save me." Lu Thuheap, at that time, was having a heart attack. His body stiffened before the monster's power. He knew he had to retreat now. With his strength, he could break the door down with all his might. No problem. But if I run outside, will this monster? While he was lost in thought, Shangui opened its mouth in Xiaola's shrill scream. Lu Xiaohui's belief that life is the most important thing became even more certain. He has always lived with that stance. Just close your eyes. Just don't see. Just be safe. Dad is still fine. But now he sees me like this. It's really too cruel. Young Master Lu, hero save Bei. Xiaola only had a little hope left, still trying to call for help. This was like a push, allowing Lu Xiaohui to make up his mind to draw his sword. Release Xiaola. Lu Xiaohui slashed forward, forcing the monster to release Xiaola and retreat. He blocked Xiaola, gnashing his teeth. Looks like today we have to test how strong Benma is.